Hey guys, good evening and welcome to my YouTube channel again. Wow, my car light went out. Well, coming up today on my channel, Ghostbusters Afterlife. This is, let's see, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, day 4 of its run. So, with that, uh, with that being said, I wanted to give you some of my thoughts and try not to give any spoilers. But if you've read any other review of this movie, anybody else, Rotten Tomatoes, any other hack movie reviewer who doesn't understand what they were trying to go for, don't believe a thing that they said, because if I believed it, I wouldn't have seen that masterpiece. Now, as a fan of the franchise for a long time, and having seen now every movie in the series, um, as part of the series of Ghostbusters, the movie, we'll give it a 4.5 out of 5 stars. Don't believe anything else that you read anywhere else. Take it from me. If you're a fan of this franchise, you're going to want to see this film. So, a lot of the ones that are reviewing it badly are purists that think, that probably thought the last Ghostbusters, the one with the ladies, sucked. These are probably the same people that are maligning this movie. Now, since we don't get a lot of cinematic excellence these days because of the way people are, uh, I will say this: there's a lot of similarities in this new Ghostbusters movie to Ghostbusters 1. A lot of similarities of, the events. If you've seen the trailers, you know about the little Stay Puft Marshmallow men, and they're pretty mischievous, and I will leave it at that. However, what I won't be remiss in talking about in regards to this movie was the touching tribute to Harold Ramis. I did think that the original Ghostbusters, who were still alive, should have got more screen time than they did. But it's telling a story to a new generation while continuing the storyline. So the story revolves around Phoebe. Phoebe is a 12-year-old girl. Phoebe is the granddaughter of Egon Spengler, who was played by Harold Ramis in the original 2 movies. As most people know, anybody with eyes and ears that get their news know that Harold Ramis died some time ago. So they found a way to put him in the film that didn't seem cheap, didn't seem degrading, because a lot of times they do that and it's degrading. And the only 2 instances I could think of where it was pulled off real well was Fast and Furious 5 or Fast 5 and this movie. The rest of it's all trash because they either disrespect the legacy or it's a comical footnote. But this didn't feel that way. And then after the big fight scene at the end, everything stopped. And on screen for a period of about 10 seconds, 10-15 seconds. I didn't count them up. It just said "for Harold" on the screen. So it was pretty cool the way that Dan Aykroyd and Ivan Reitman did it. and how it honored the original script written by Dan Aykroyd and Harold Ramis. In fact, Harold Ramis is credited in the movie as being one of the two originators of the Ghostbusters story. The other one being Dan Aykroyd, who's still alive. But I'm sitting out here outside the Regal. Ooh, they're hiring. I wonder how I apply to get in there. But they only got, right now, in this big building at the Boulevard Center, they have 14 theaters, and right now only 4 of them are in use. And they're sequential order, 1, 2, 3, and 4. Which actually comes down to 4 movies, and they run them in 2, 4, 6, and 8. Which makes no sense to me, because now the projectionist gotta move around a little bit. But at least that way they don't get fat, right? But a lot of movies in the previews that we want to see. The new Spider-Man, I want to see it. I haven't been vested in the Spider-Man series since Tobey Maguire, but just bringing back some of the old characters from the Tobey Maguire series of films is refreshing. So I'm looking forward to that new Spider-Man movie that's coming out. And actually, I don't understand, because they got more theaters open than just the 4, because when I went in there running Ghostbusters in a total of 4 auditoriums and Clifford in 2 auditoriums, which makes no sense, because there was less than 20 people in our showing. Maybe it makes more sense to run it like that on a Friday or Saturday night when you're going to get killed. But as far as the Ghostbusters, definitely go see it. It's well worth it. It's just a fresh retelling of what the first Ghostbusters 1 was, but it is enough new and fresh that it's like a whole new movie, because it is. But this actually, doesn't really close up the story, because something tells me that somehow, some way, that they're going to figure out a way to milk another 1 to 2 movies out of this when it's just not necessary. This was the proper Ghostbusters 3 we never got, not counting that Ghostbusters with the ladies. But I will recommend this a 4 out of 5 stars. The only reason they got a half a star deduction was because of the same old story we've already seen in a movie, just with different characters. But we got to see new. I don't know, because I never saw Ghostbusters 2, just bits and pieces. But for me, it was a new mod on Ecto 1 that I've never seen before. So, it's pretty cool how it works. It may have been, it wasn't in Ghostbusters 1, but it may have been in Ghostbusters 2. But it was my first time seeing it, and I thought it was cool. This thing on Ecto 1 that was just amazing. But anyways, I will wrap this up, because if I keep talking to you guys, I'm gonna basically give you the entire plot of the movie. I will just say this: go see it if you love the franchise. It's for the same reason I watch Cobra Kai, because I'm a fan of the Karate Kid franchise, not counting that Jaden Smith piece of garbage. That I liken that Jaden Smith piece of garbage to the Ghostbusters with the ladies in it. That it was a story that didn't need to be told. So this would be, um, we never did get the closure of the story with the original Ghostbusters that we were promised. But this is kind of a way to kind of give us something that honors the true uh, vision of the franchise. So it's worth it. And I will tell you this, and it seems to be a thing that I see more and more. Now, as a former projectionist, I know all about automation and when it's supposed to happen and what it's supposed to do and the like. So it was just odd that when there's certain cues that happen during a movie that automate actions, such as bringing the lights down, bringing them back up, running the entry snakes, which in here they're on all the time, but they do dim so you could see your way out when the house lights go down. So they caught me off guard because there was no trigger to bring the lights back up when the credits roll. Now, I am a projectionist from a former type of way of doing things, but what's happening more and more in movies is they'll run credits, and that won't be the end of the story. So usually the automation cues are added now, and back in my day we had to do it ourselves, but in the advent of digital cinema technology, it's probably inserted by the movie company. So it's supposed to bring lights up, bring lights down during certain parts of the film. That these were cues that we put on using some kind of silver tape that would go through the projector sound head during a part of the film that didn't have noise. If we were, so the projector could see it and it would trigger an action through the system. And in a thing like this, it's supposed to do that. So I thought it odd when the credits start rolling and automation didn't kick in. The movie company's been doing this for a while. They insert little shorts after the credits. They got me on Deadpool, and I was used to that for a while, but then COVID hit and I hadn't seen as many first run films, so wasn't really used to it. It's been several months since I seen a film here, but I should have known. That should have been my cue to say, oh, they're going to do something else because the house lights automation didn't trigger, and so there must be something else here. So that's basically it with the Ghostbusters Afterlife. Definitely, if you're a fan of the franchise, definitely see it. If you're not, if you've never seen the others, it's going to be hard to follow because there's a lot of callbacks to the original film. So you'll be totally lost if you haven't seen the original film. I would say Ghostbusters 1, definitely watch that. Ghostbusters 2 is not a necessary, it's part of canon, but it's not necessary to understand this film. But definitely, one where you get the character development, and there's a lot of callbacks to what happened in that movie. Not just the characters, but also the events. There's a lot of callbacks to that. So, definitely watch that before you watch this. And I wouldn't suggest getting into the series now if you haven't been into it since the 80s, because you're going to be totally lost, because that film's pretty dated. It's it's pretty dated. But I would recommend watching it. Just kind of suspend your disbelief for 80s special effects because they won't blow your skirt up. But definitely you need to know that movie to see this one. And I'll leave it there. Again, 4 out of 5 stars. Fitting tribute to Harold Ramis, who was part of the franchise. And definitely, they did a nice fitting tribute, sort of like when they did the tribute to Paul Walker in the Fast and Furious franchise. Because Paul Walker, the Fast and Furious 9, is the same as Harold Ramis, the Ghostbusters. They're that ingrained in the series that they become synonymous with the series. There's also, I said I'd wrap this, but I'm not. There's also I'm wearing my Ghostbuster 35th anniversary shirt. So we could go down the list here of the people that were in the original film and who made cameo appearances in this one. So we got Bill Murray, Annie Potts, Dan Aykroyd, Sigourney Weaver, and Ernie Hudson. The only ones that they didn't have in was Harold Ramis, of course, Rick Moranis, and I didn't see William Atherton in the movie. So I don't know if he was in it or not. I didn't see his name in the end credits either. So it's definitely a good movie. So see it. See it now. At least if you're not going to see it now, see, because we're in day 4. If you're not that big a fan, but you'd like to see it, wait till about week 3. I'll tell you why. Because the theater really made nothing off of us today. Because we didn't stop at the snack stand. We had eaten prior to coming to the show. So we didn't spend any money at the snack stand. So literally, the theater made nothing off of us. Now, the time before that, they made a ton off of us. So I would recommend going in week 3, and here's why. I know I saw it on day 4, and that's fine, but the movie theater really didn't make nothing off of us. And especially considering they're only running 4 films right now. And let's see. I know Clifford and Ghostbusters are in their first week or 2 of being released. Eternals and King Richard, I don't know what the lifespan is on those movies, so I couldn't tell you what week they're in. But Clifford's pretty new, and Ghostbusters Afterlife is pretty new, so they're not making anything on it. So a lot of people, and I always do this when it comes to movie theater, because a movie theater was my love for 2 years. In a little slice of Americana called a drive-in, and it was an amazing place, and it was an amazing feel and spirit in there. It's like you stepped off Elm Road and you stepped back in time. But when it comes to these movies, when they run in like the first 2 weeks, the movie theater gets dick pretty much. They get very little on a movie. And the movie company is trying to recoup their budget on the movie by taking 80 to 90%. Mostly it's closer to like 92, 93% of that admission price on every ticket sold on every day of a movie in the first 2 weeks. By week 3, it starts moving in toward, closer to a 50-50 split, but not quite in the favor. The favor of the movie companies is probably a little higher, So by week 4 or week 5, most people have seen it. That's why, when COVID hit, they started running these older movies because they could pretty much take, when it comes to an older movie, let's just say in theater where I used to work, if they want to run a movie like Christmas Vacation, which they're running right now, the movie company has made their nut back on it. They've made nuts on DVD sales, and basically all the theater has to do to show that movie is pay a public performance licensing for that title. Now, that's a nice little, nut that they want, but it's a one-time nut, so they'll never come in rape your box office when you're running an older movie like that. They just want their public performance fee, and they get out of your hair, and whatever you take at the door, you get to keep. But I will end this because I'm running out of film. I'm really not on film, but it's getting dark out here. So see Ghostbusters, and if you love the franchise.